So, Roger Sherman, pitmaster and owner of the District Pit Barbecue Catering Company in DC. We have been in business for about 10 years now, and we specialize in doing barbecue and wine pairings. Start off with a pork chop demo, and I'm doing them in a cast iron skillet, and we'll get to why. So the first thing you gotta notice here is the cast iron skillet is already smoking. It's already pre-broiled. I season the pork chops with salt, pepper, and garlic. That's the only seasoning I ever use on anything when I'm grilling. I use it for steaks, I do it for pork chops, I do it for fish. It is important when you are grilling in front of your people, in front of your friends, or in front of your neighbors, or in front of your families, to make sure that everything is a presentation. Everything has to be sexy. So I'm waiting for this thing to start smoking like it does. And when I drop these pork chops in here, it's gonna make a really sexy sizzle. If it doesn't, when I put them in the pan, if it doesn't sizzle, everybody go because it'll sound like it did in the picture, and I'll just edit it out. That wasn't as much as I wanted. That's all right. We're gonna be okay though. All right, so we are gonna do some pork chops here today, but I'm gonna talk about a couple of other things while we got this going. So I'm gonna start flipping these real quick here. I start running my mouth and have my guy telling me the time here. Oh, went too long. Yes, they were. I went a little long. Okay, so don't hold this against me, folks. I went a little long because I was running my mouth, but don't worry, it's still gonna be okay.
What temperature are you looking for
on the pork chop? We'll take this to 140. We'll take it to 140. I'm gonna turn the heat down here. I'm really off my game today, folks. I'm just kind of running my mouth here. Usually I practice the presentation better. I'm gonna add a little bit of whipped butter to add a little bit of moisture to this. And that'll smoke up a little bit. We'll turn the flame down a little bit here. You know. So the next thing we're gonna do here, folks, is we're gonna use a little bit of wine, and we're gonna add this to this. The reason why I like to do pork chops at some of these events is because I can do a white wine reduction. If you're doing a steak, you know, a ribeye or anything like that, typically you'll use a big bold red wine, a Cabernet Franc, a Pinot Noir. I like to do some pork chops because then you can do a white wine reduction. And you'll see me keep pouring it in there, and the reason why is because if I get past the halfway point, I get to keep the bottle. And then we'll do this sexy move here where we'll just start spooning it over the top of these things to keep them moist. Any other chefs out here? Yep. And then once the wine is in here, you can kind of turn the fire back up a little bit, and we'll get these things done here. Ice wine, you're gonna have some today. We're gonna have some today. Excuse me? I don't have any problem with the pellet grill. The good thing about a pellet grill is that you can set it and walk away from it. So if you've got other things to be doing and you don't have time to go out there and manage that fire, there's nothing wrong with getting a pellet grill. Now the problem with the pellet grill, the only problem with the pellet grill is because they burn so evenly, it's almost like cooking in an oven. So you don't necessarily get the big, powerful, bold flavors of a good, hard wood. But that's okay. Like I said, if you are out there, and let me ask you this: you cook on the pellet grill now? Is your family happy with that? That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Now, if she's got a problem with it, cast iron is the best way to do your steak and your chops, and the reason why is because you don't lose any of the moisture. You know, if you're cooking on a grill, it's really cool because all the fat drips into the coals and it makes a really good smell. You know, that's really cool, but you're losing a lot of the moisture, which is not necessarily what you want. When you're cooking in cast iron, you keep all of that, and you can do cool things like reduction. If you're cooking in a grill, if you can ever get your hands on like some broken up wine barrels or some broken up whiskey barrels to put in the flames and put that in there, that's a really cool parlor trick. It adds no flavor to the meat at all, but it makes you look like a genius and a hero because the wine in the barrels will catch on fire. and the flame will turn blue, and it will look really cool. And all of your patrons, all your guests, all your friends will ask you, how'd you do that? And you just tell them, none of your business. Don't tell them any of your secrets. So we got one that I'm happy with here so far. I probably brought too many.
They put this cast iron on your outside grill.
I would put it right on the grill.
Do you get that? I know you put it for direct heat.
But now we're gonna do a reduction. We're gonna create a reduction here. And we've got all of the fats from the pork chop. We've got all of the spices from the pork chop. And we're just gonna take this and we're gonna reduce this down. This will usually take about 3 minutes. I'm gonna try and do it a little faster for you today because like I said, I've already screwed up this demo and ran my mouth too much and, not done my job here. But then we're gonna, sometimes you just gotta be a little self-deprecating so people will start cheering for you. That's what it is. So I asked you guys the question about whether or not you have white wine or red wine preferences. My preference is actually for white wines, but when I'm doing events, I always drink red wines. Anybody want to guess why? They are stronger. So one of the reasons is because I'll drink them slower and I'm working.
Okay.
And the other reason is because they look better in pictures. But anyway, so this is about getting close to where I want it to be at. So I'm gonna shut this off because I'm good with the reduction here. I'm happy with that. And then we're gonna take my steaks here, I'm sorry, my pork chops here. And we're gonna cut into it. So again, if you're cutting pork chops in front of your friends and family, if you're doing an event, you're cooking for your friends, it is important to cut up your steaks and chops with the most comically large knife that you can find because it makes for a better presentation. And then we're just gonna cut these down here like this. And everybody, you got me? Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. So everybody's gonna get a nice big piece here because I was silly and bought the biggest ones I could find because I appreciate that. All right, there we go with that. Hold on.